On a frigid evening in Omaha, Nebraska, we welcome you to the Big East Women's Soccer Championship, driven by Jeep. Tonight, it's the first of two semifinals as the top seed, the regular season champion Xavier Musketeers, take on the fourth-seeded Villanova Wildcats. So we take a look at the bracket of how we got here. Georgetown and Providence, that will be the nightcap. The Hoyas, the three-time reigning tournament champions. But at the top of the table are the Xavier Musketeers, and they're looking for redemption in more ways than one this weekend. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the broadcast booth. He is John Schreiner. I'm John Fanta. It feels like 27 degrees outside right now. That will certainly play a factor. And as we look at this tournament, Xavier may be the top seed, but two of the three teams joining them in this field actually beat them in the regular season, one of which on the other side tonight in Villanova.
Well, John, it sets up for some amazing drama here in Omaha. It should be a very fun tournament, and I think any of the four teams in the Final Four here tonight could go on and win the whole thing.
How about this Musketeers program under third-year head coach Nate Lee? 3 years ago, this program was coming off a conference season in which they just recorded one Big East win. And now this senior class gets the reward. They've been led all season long by Samantha Dewey, the Big East leading scorer.
Yeah, Sam Dewey, I mean, you said it, Big East leading scorer. She's the two-time All-Big East first-teamer. Tremendous pressure on Sam Dewey within this team. Sometimes she shows a little frustration on the field. She's going to have to avoid that tonight. She's got to be a leader, and she's got to control the midfield against a very strong Villanova defense, set that attack the back line, and find a way through.
The Musketeers leading the Big East during conference play with 20 goals, from 2-2 in league play to 5 straight wins. And they have a tandem goalkeeper system. They call on the sophomore Olivia Jenkins tonight.
Yeah, Olivia Jenkins, she's been really good. She's made 9 starts. This will be number 10. She's allowed just 9 goals on the season. 2 great shot stoppers in net for the Musketeers. It's going to be tough for Villanova to crack the score sheet tonight.
It will be tough for both these teams to crack the score sheet because these two programs have combined for 18 clean sheets on the year. We talked about the leader of this team in Samantha Dewey, and we had the opportunity to catch up with her earlier this week.
Yeah, I think the word that pretty much sums it up is pretty rewarding. Like the growth from that this program's, felt for my 5 years here is just nothing short of incredible. And so it's just really rewarding, and I'm super glad I got to be a part of it. It wasn't necessarily supposed to be here, but lucky enough to get another season, and I just really enjoyed my teammates, so glad to be here. Like, my teammates have put me in the best position possible, and it frees me up a lot when they put me right on the spot. So getting a lot of attention, I think has allowed other people on our team to step up and really grow and mature, and I think that's what's different about this team is whereas a lot of times in the past might rely too heavily on a player or two, and so I think that the depth has really grown, and younger players have been able to step up, people like Brooke Soroka, Jenna Prathup, and other players, and you see that in the votes that we got for the Big East teams. So.
It's time to fuel your ambitions by taking charge of your student debt. At SoFi, we've helped over 250,000 people refinance their student loans, saving thousands of dollars. Now you can pay off your student loans faster and reach your goals sooner. See how much you can save in just 2 minutes at SoFi.com/save.
What is a Villanovan? In 30 seconds? Well, Villanovans aim high. Top 50 National University high. We think fast and stay connected. V's up. Villanovans think deeply, push boundaries, and go, go, go! Still with me? We climb corporate ladders and these ladders. This campus is our home, but you can find us almost anywhere. Villanovans have big hearts and solve even bigger problems, and we celebrate together. Ignite change, go.
Inching closer towards kickoff of the Big East Women's Soccer Championship semifinals. The top-seeded Xavier Musketeers getting set to take on fourth seed in this championship field, the Villanova Wildcats. John Fanta, John Schreiner with you. And John, how about Villanova? This is their first semifinal appearance in 15 years. How have they done it?
Well, it all is down to their head coach, Chris McLean. I mean, he's come in, he's improved the win percentage every single year. He's brought in a different caliber of player, and he's just done a nice job with the program. The only thing you worry about is with these players never having been in this position before, how do they react here on the road?
It is uncharted territory for this program in terms of recent history. But for Villanova, Chris McLean's been able to accelerate this program through some impact transfers. Rebecca Gartner has been just that from Baylor, coming on and delivering.
Well, and especially here late in the season, John. I mean, she's just been incredible at the back line. She's faced a ton of shots. She's produced 3 straight shutouts now. And it's a back line that hasn't done her a ton of favors at times, but she's kept those clean sheets with some amazing saves.
For Villanova, 3 straight clean sheets heading into tonight. Gardner's doing the saving. Who's doing the scoring? It's a Tennessee transfer. It's been a game changer in Bryce McEnroy.
Yeah, and Bryce McEnroy is another player who's just really, really come on here at the end of the season. 9 goals on the year, but she's just been a revelation for this offense who has needed only 1 goal in each of their last 3 matches to produce the win, and she's been a key part of that.
This Villanova team, we watched them practice yesterday, and it really stood out to us from the get-go. While they're young, they might not know any better in that they were very loose in practice.
Yeah, that practice with Villanova yesterday, they were basically just playing kind of a 7-on-7 scrimmage for an hour. They didn't do a lot of drills. They didn't work on a lot of things. They're just out here having fun, trying to keep it loose, trying to keep the atmosphere light. And I think that might play in their favor with such a young and inexperienced team.
The Cats are a step away from their first championship game appearance in the Big East in 16 years. Speaking of how loose they were, they took over the Big East Digital Network after practice yesterday. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Riley Standrift. This is Jane Olcott, and this is Rebecca Gartner from Villanova Women's Soccer. And we're just here to ask Rebecca a few questions today. So, Bex, what's your favorite memory at Villanova?
Man, that's hard. It has to be the 6 a.m. wake-up calls with Megan, our goalkeeper coach. I love 120s. Favorite.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid memory right there. What's it been like training with Megan, one of the best goalkeeper coaches?
Megan's awesome, and we just get along, me, Riley, and Megan. I mean, it's a great group. It really makes me a lot better, grow as a goalkeeper. I love it.
Awesome. Take it away, Jane.
Thank you. Nike or Adidas?
Nike.
Coke or Pepsi?
I don't like that.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Vanilla.
Soccer or basketball? Ooh, soccer. Who's your favorite redhead, Jane or Sam? Jane.
No.
Yes, thank you. For the Big East Digital Network, we're Villanova Women's Soccer. Go Cats!
Go Cats!
The Villanova Wildcats haven't been to Big East semifinal since 2004. That changes in just minutes as we continue to preview the Cats and top-seeded regular season champion Xavier. John Schreiner, let's look at Villanova. 6 of their starting 11 in the season opener have had season-ending surgery. Just demoralizing to think about the injuries that this program has had, and yet here they are one step away from the Big East title game.
Yeah, and I think it's what comes after the yet there that is most important with this team. They've just continued to fight. It's been the next player up mentality, and they've embraced it. They've done a great job with it. And as you said, they find themselves here now in the semifinals. They haven't hung their heads at, our best players are out. No, it's been we have a job to do, and we're going to get it done no matter who's on the field. And that goes down to Chris McClain and the attitude that he brings to the sideline with this team.
It's a 4-3-3 system for the Cats as we take a look at their starting 11 here tonight. We told you about Bryce McEnroy. Kristen Barber's a senior captain who really charges the defense along with Connor Huggins. What else stands out to you?
Well, I think the freshman Jane Olcott. I mean, she's an all-freshman performer this year in the Big East. She's going to have to be good. She's going to have to be a wise beyond her years tonight to beat a very good Xavier team.
On the other side, this Xavier team, they're different than everybody else in the Big East in that they play a 3-5-2, and that really makes them dynamic, but they put so many behind the ball that the concern for Villanova is how can we get past this defense?
Yeah, it's a 3-5-2 when they're going forward, but that means there's 5 on defense when they're coming back. So it's even tougher to break that down. We already talked to you about Sam Dewey. Grace Barr is another tremendous midfielder for this team, and that pairing in the middle between Dewey and Barr, that is one to watch for tonight. How they are combining in the midfield is going to make a big difference.
Barr and Dewey, they charge this Musketeer team. John, time for the keys to this match. Let's start with the Musketeers.
Yeah, I think for them the biggest thing is just finish. I mean, they've shut out their last 3 opponents, have Villanova, but they haven't been impenetrable. They've been outshot in those matches, 35-24, and Xavier outshot Nova in their regular season meeting 16-5 as well. So for Xavier, I think it's just staying calm in front of net, finish a couple of those chances that they're definitely going to get tonight.
And for Villanova, Bryce McEnroy with the 9 goals on this season. But the Cats are without Chloe O'Neal, who leads this team with 7 assists. What are the keys?
Well, I think teams that are strong down the middle, they tend to force defenses to be compact. So that's going to mean Villanova needs to get in the wide areas and find some space. If they can get out there, get in some space, send in some good crosses rather than playing direct to Bryce McEnroy, give her some good service, let her do some work in the air, things might go well for Villanova in those spaces.
It's cold. We've talked about both these keys to the match, and as we're getting close to kickoff here, it is chilly. That's going to play a part in this game. How much do you think the first 15 minutes matter when the adrenaline's all there?
Well, I think the first 15 minutes are going to be an extended warm-up. So, once the blood gets pumping, I think after those first 15 minutes, then we might start to see these teams settle into a bit of a rhythm.
The thing is, when these two teams settle in, they have been very tough to score on because they've combined for 18 shutouts on the season. The 8th meeting between Xavier and Villanova for a ticket to the Big East title game. It kicks off next.
It's time to fuel your ambitions by taking charge of your student debt. At SoFi, we've helped over 250,000 people refinance their student loans, saving thousands of dollars. Now you can pay off your student loans faster and reach your goals sooner. See how much you can save in just 2 minutes at SoFi.com/save.
Getting set to kick off between Xavier and Villanova for a ticket to the Big East Championship game. John Fanta, John Schreiner with you. Villanova led by third-year head coach Chris McLean, who has done a tremendous job. This staff as well, the way they've transformed the program, it is admirable.
Yeah, as we hit in the open, didn't win a lot of games his first season on campus in Philadelphia, but every season, that .222 winning percentage his first year, they're at a .611 winning percentage now in year number 4, John. That's a marvelous turnaround, and you just can't say enough about the way he's done it and the attitude that his players show.
That's the fascinating layer to this showdown, right? These two teams have not been in the role of the hunted. And for Nate Lee and this Xavier side, he talked to us yesterday that he always holds his program to the highest of standards, but even he couldn't have predicted that Xavier would be the 1 seed in this championship because of how good Georgetown's been.
Yeah, it was really fun listening to him recount, how they felt as they watched those results roll in, with Georgetown dropping a couple of points here and there, and how excited his players were down the stretch, knowing they were going to probably need to win 5 straight and win out the season to take that number 1 spot. And they responded. They did it. They won out the regular season and were able to claim the number 1 spot. So, yeah, a tremendous job by Nate and his staff this season.
We've talked about keys for both these teams. What do you think this match comes down to?
It's going to be a battle of wills tonight, John. I mean, you're fighting so much. The cold temperatures, the nerves of it being a Big East semifinal. Villanova battling all those injuries. Who can impose their will on the other first probably makes the difference in this one. And for Villanova, we talked to Chris McLean, and it's also going to be about, I think, his goalkeeper making the stops in key moments. She's done it over the last 3 matches. But they're so shorthanded, and they've got players playing out of position all over the pitch. She's going to have to be really special between the pipes tonight.
Right now the temperature is 32 degrees, but when you factor in the wind chill, it feels like 25 here as we're about to kick off. And Georgetown and Providence, they're sitting in the warmth right now at their hotels, but, well, by the time 8 Eastern time rolls around, it's going to be even colder, a low of 22 here. The conditions will play a factor. As you see Xavier with a little rock, paper, scissors. Let's decide who's first in the Big East Championship game, as it's the Musketeers in the home whites as the top seed. There's Rebecca Gartner in the neon green and her Villanova team in the navy blues. Musketeers will have the first touch. The Big East semifinals are underway from Omaha. Glad to have you with us on the Big East Digital Network here tonight. Championship showdown on Sunday at 4 Eastern on FS1. Rebecca Gartner has been a game changer in goal for Villanova. A grad student coming in from Baylor, and that's how the Cats have buttered their bread here this season, with transfers. And the Cats have an early corner here in the opening seconds.
Yeah, and it was Grace Brower back there who just couldn't quite control the touch. Nearly gave away a crossing opportunity, but she was able to get back in the play and only give away a corner. But this is an early opportunity. Villanova, if they could score from a set piece early, John, that would be a dream start.
26 goals on the season. It will be Kristen Barber who feeds this one in. Into the center of the area, and a header that's to the near post, never got dangerous. Safe fart from distance. And Olivia Jenkins will have the goal kick. How about this in a goalkeeper showdown? Jenkins for Xavier, Gartner for Villanova, both will dress for their respective women's basketball programs this winter.
How about that? That's pretty awesome. We heard in the interview Rebecca Gartner trying to choose between basketball and soccer, and it was very obviously a tough decision for her.
Gartner suit up in Harry Peretta's 42nd and final season at the helm. Jenkins will suit up for Melanie Moore's Musketeers. It's a new era of Xavier women's basketball that opens tonight. As here's a mistake. Gartner off her line to survive, but that was dangerous as Sroka came on.
Well, you know what that was, John? That's cold weather. Your muscles are a little tight. You don't release the leg quite as far as you need to. It's what we call a hospital pass back to the keeper because she could get crushed in that situation. Luckily, Gartner was off her line quickly to clean it up.
Even Sroka there looked slow by a step trying to get to it, and that is the chilly weather playing a part. Sroka's played such a huge role for this team with 5 goals in the last 8 matches of the regular season.
Yeah, she's been really good, and a lot of these Xavier players you could say that about down this stretch where they've just been really dominant. They've had a lot of players that have stepped up and played probably above the level at what they were expected to at the outset of the season.
14-3-2 are the Xavier Musketeers. Picked 4th in the Big East preseason polls. This results in a goal kick. And yet, they were 2-2 in Big East play. At that point, they didn't think it was possible to overcome Georgetown, the heavyweight at the top. But somehow, some way, they put together 5 straight wins, capped off by an amazing victory at the Selleck Bowl last Thursday over Butler in snow and sleet. Xavier found a way to get one early. Carrie Lewis playing a big role in that. And here come the Musketeers knocking on the door. It's Sroka. With the turn, now Sroka crosses it to the back post. Nobody home. Villanova looked to get on the move. Tori Alfaro tried to start something up. The advantage to the Wildcats, whose bread and butter is the counterattack.
Well, yeah, I mean, they want to get you coming forward, and they're going to play some outlet passes, play some long balls, and then they're looking for the big body up front in Bryce McEnroy to get the ball to her feet and let her finish, which she's done expertly here over the last month of the season.
Alfaro just goes short to Connor Huggins, who is the engine of this team. A captain who embraced what Chris McLean was doing when she was entering her sophomore year. McLean was taking this program over. McLean said this senior class, while they're not his kids, he's adopted them in many ways because of how accepting they were of his system. And it took both these coaches time with these programs to learn how to win.
As it always does. I mean, anytime you bring in a new voice that's telling you something different than you've heard, especially, you know, if you've been in the program already, you've heard a different coach, it can be hard to adapt to. And, you know, that's why not everybody sticks around. When you change coaches, there's going to be some attrition, and it just doesn't work for everybody. But for those who can make it work, and you see the ones who have here at Villanova, they paid it off.
Both these teams have made it a habit to come out pressing high, as great step in that time by Sam Rosette, the Virginia transfer. And Xavier forcing the throw-in. But one wonders here, with how cold it is, if they can't find a way to attack early. Both settle in so well defensively.
Sure.
We could be bound to have a standstill.
Yeah, and I don't think, you know, look, coaches never want to go to the lottery of a penalty shootout, but you know those are the things you have to prepare for and deal with when you get to this stage of the season. There can't be any more draws. There has to be a winner now. So, and the way we decide it in the game of soccer is from the penalty spot 12 yards away. Already had one in this tournament. Providence got the better of that one over Butler, but saw both of these teams on the pitch in practice yesterday working on those penalty shootout situations.
Now Farrow stepping in and gaining possession for the Wildcats, now with a burst of speed down the left end. She's got numbers to the near side, and that's where she goes with it. Now Farrow, the captain, with a brilliant pass to Rosette, who was cut off immediately. Rachel Dewey, the younger sister to Sam.
Yeah, the unsung Dewey, if you will, Rachel Dewey, coming across to make a good defensive play there.
The Deweys, an athletic family. Mom, Elizabeth, playing basketball and volleyball at Johnson College. And Sam, had an amazing high school career. She has the Indiana State record for the most goals in a single season with 83. That's incredible. Soroka out wide. They've got her marked. A player who's had 5 goals in the last 8 matches, who didn't have any before that point. You better have the sophomore forward marked.
Yeah, she's certainly been locked in. She's found her shooting touch and put a few balls in the back of the net. And if it wasn't enough to have...
Here's a ball planted to the 6. Gartner will look for transition now.
If it wasn't enough to have Grace Barr and Sam Dewey in the midfield, now you've got a player who's really come on in stroke over the last month and has really contributed to why Xavier ended up as the number 1 seed.
Both these teams have been so defensively stout. Musketeers winners of 5 in a row, shutting out Butler in their regular season finale. And they've got 10 shutouts on the year. Villanova owns 8 as a team. And the Cats ride 3 consecutive clean sheets into this one. Who is going to break through tonight? Rosette, some finesse on that ball and able to win the throw-in. Nice job by Michaela Stadler stepping in. Rosette plants one ahead. Xavier, Grace Brower, she's getting tested early on. They are painting that corner.
And you saw Bryce McEnroy. One of the things for a forward, one of the best traits you can have is optimism. You have to just always believe that the ball's going to get through. And McEnroy, you saw her cut off that run and come back in front of the defender.
On a cold night, you really have to have optimism.
Certainly. But what I mean is, Brower didn't take a great touch. She had to turn around with the ball. If McEnroy has that optimism, stays behind the defender, makes the run as if the ball's going to come through, she puts herself in a position to perhaps take it off the foot of the defender and be in on goal.
And McEnroy's done that plenty of times this
Certainly.
year. Leading this team with 9 goals. Here's a header planted to the top of the area. Villanova sniffed it out, able to reel it away. It'll be a throw-in, but that was a dangerous ball. Alfaro was there again.
Yeah, the feet still look just a little bit heavy as we've gotten about 10 minutes into this one now.
Even the way the players are running.
Yeah, it's the speed of play, the touch, the cold is definitely causing some issues.
Again, it feels like 25 here based on the latest wind chill. The coldest weather these two teams have competed in this season without question. But that's this time of year.
Yeah, it is supposed to be a little bit nicer on Sunday for the final, but certainly not balmy.
McEnroy with the feed ahead. Xavier all over it. Brower. This is what Villanova will do. They'll send numbers forward and attack high. Olcott lays it off. They've got an opportunity from distance only momentarily because Sam Dewey said no. Huggins with a laser sailing high.
Well, that was a great recovery run by Sam Dewey because it was a dangerous attacking opportunity through Shea Seyfarth, who was charging at that central back line for Xavier. But Dewey, excellent recovery, hustle play to make the defensive stop.
Four consecutive headers before it heads to Rosette. McEnroy doubled. It'll be a throw-in as McEnroy, she's just come in and been a game changer for this attack, and now when you're missing Chloe O'Neal and Nikki Molina, who both had season-ending injuries on Sunday against DePaul, it just means McElroy's got to be that much better and vital for this group. Now another ball from distance to the right-hand side. This one harmless. Nobody on the other end. 12.5 in from Omaha. Morrison Stadium hosting the Big East Women's Soccer Championship for the first time since 2015. Shaw Field hosting a year after that in 2016. Then this tournament heading to campus sites. What a facility Morrison is.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
If you haven't been, you should come.
Yeah, no doubt. Bring a hat and gloves, but get over here if you're in the Omaha area because it is a beautiful facility. Just like everything here at Creighton.
The campus is picturesque, and the facility has been painstakingly created. It's a great atmosphere to come and watch a game, too.
They built a women's sports facility, was installed last year on top of a championship center. DJ Sokol Arena for volleyball. They've got the special playing surface, one of the best programs in the country out here in Omaha. Creighton, it's life for the community. They come in droves for the Blue Jays. This men's soccer program will be hosting a first-round game on Saturday evening. Butler coming in. They're familiar with Morrison. It'll be their second time in a week.
Yes, that should be a fun one.
Villanova with a lot behind the ball right now, and a run coming in from Rachel Dewey. Dewey with the feed to the 6. It slides past Gartner for the goal. Xavier on the board. 1-0 Musketeers, as it's Carrie Lewis who rises to the occasion.
Wow. Just one moment of class is all it took. Right there, that touch. And then a beautifully delivered ball and an excellent finish from Lewis. That is a tremendous pass from Rachel Dewey. Just threading the needle for Carrie Lewis.
The junior's second goal of the season. What a time for it as the Musketeers take the 1-0 lead in the 15th. And the quiet Dewey in Rachel is the one who steps up with the assist. What a feed.
Oh, it was the touch that she made on the outside to set up that pass was even better. When she sent Rosette inside and then created space on the outside, waiting for that run to develop in front of her, and then an inch-perfect pass right to the foot of Lewis. And what Lewis didn't need much. She didn't have to put much on it. Just had to redirect a little bit and did that well.
Carrie Lewis, an NC State transfer. Now she's given Xavier their biggest goal since joining the Big East in 2013, because it has them up 1-0 on a chilly night in Omaha. A spot to the Big East championship game on the line. That's how you set the tone.
The question now is, how does Villanova respond? They haven't been down in a match at any point in their last three. They've been all 1-0 victories. Where is, the collective psyche after all of this team after they've lost so many of those frontline players over the course of the season?
Villanova riding 3 consecutive shutouts into tonight. Before that, they were up 3-1 against St. John's back on October 24th for losing that lead and falling just short 4-3. But you're right, John. It's been close to a month since they've trailed. How do they handle this on this tournament stage nonetheless? We talked about setting the tone tonight.
Yeah.
And that these two teams have made it a habit to get on the board quickly. First 10, 15 minutes, and just in the nick of time, Xavier does it. Now the official signaling for Villanova.
Yeah, he's going to get a foul on the push. Over here. Lucas Feathers making the call. Looked like the tumble out of bounds by Stadler was not of her own doing.
Feathers joined by assistant referee Jeremy Kiso and Matthew Seam. And now Xavier looking to go long down the right side. And sliding through. They've got an opportunity now. Broward to just outside the box. This shot harmless from Carrie Lewis.
There was a lot of space in that central, deep midfield role right there as Lewis was coming up. Villanova had recovered way deep in their own end, and Lewis was finding some space right there. A little bit better strike that tests the keeper. That's a dangerous opportunity.
The Musketeers have rattled Villanova.
They're putting the pressure on right now, and Villanova needs to respond. They just need to get this ball out of their own end, collect themselves, regroup a little bit.
You think revenge was in the minds of Xavier?
Knowing Nate Lee, I think it might have been. I don't think he felt like they should have lost that contest earlier in the season. In all indications from him were that he thought his team played well enough to win. They just couldn't find the back of the net.
Here's the interesting element to that first meeting. Villanova got on the board in the 57th, McEnroy delivering. But this year, Xavier has outscored teams 22-4 in the second half. Here's a cross to the 6, heading away by a series of Wildcats back outside the area. You think about it, Villanova scoring that one in late September. Outside of that, Xavier in the second half this year, 22-3.
Looked like we were about to see a Sam Dewey classic right there. She went by two defenders in the third, finally able to cut her off right outside the area.
Rosette there. And good combination by the Cats down the right side of Stadler. Looking for McEnroy. Molly McLaughlin all over it. All Big East selection. Xavier looking for an 11th shutout here tonight. And the official stopping things here for an injury.
Man, that's Carrie Lewis down on the pitch, the goal scorer, team leader in assists. Not what you want to see for Xavier.
Lewis delivering 15 minutes in, her second goal of the year. Eight assists to lead this team. You combine that with Barr, who's got 7. They have the right pieces to dish it off this year as we take another look. Lewis, looks like she just pulls up limp there.
Yeah, and when a player goes down without any contact, those are the ones that scare you, because if you're contacted, it could be a bruise, it could be a little bump or a knock, but man, when you go down that hard without being touched, it's scary.
In this weather,
that's you tighten up that hamstring. This is hamstring weather right here, John. This is when a lot of hamstring pulls happen.
good to see that she's on her own power right now. Carrie Lewis clearly in pain, that right leg. And now Musketeers will go to the bench for the first time tonight as they turn to Courtney Langford, the senior. She comes on in a big spot.
Yeah, she's got some experience. She started 10 matches this year. She's played in every match. They have an assist on the season against Lipscomb, so able to bring in a player off the bench who you've depended on all season despite your assist leader being out with an apparent injury.
How about the vision from Samantha Dewey? Finding Maddie Thiss, and now Thiss lasers one in right to the foot of a Wildcat. Let up for McEnroy. Advantage Musketeers. The regular season conference champs have come out and set the tone to this weekend in Omaha. Georgetown and Providence waiting in the distance. We'll see them later tonight. Rosette to the feet of Olcott. And now McEnroy lays it back. Jane Olcott fires. And this one rolls harmlessly away from the cage.
It didn't have enough power to ever trouble Jenkins. This is a little heel flick from McEnroy as Olcott hits the shot. It was always going wide, and Jenkins had it covered if it wasn't.
Jane Olcott, you saw in our pregame show, one of the interviewers talking with Rebecca Gartner and had the pressing question.
She's quite a personality, Jane Olcott, in just her first year on campus. Certainly not afraid of the limelight.
Which redhead do you like better, me or Sam Rosette? And Jane was on camera.
That's a hard question to answer, especially when one of them is asking you. I think that's an insight, though, into Gartner's personality, because someone who's a contrarian and likes to poke fun would have said the other person, and,
right.
and Gartner went with the person right in front of her.
When we talked to Chris McLean and his staff yesterday about this Villanova side and what's led them to the 3 straight shutouts and to a Big East semifinal, because you lose to St. John's, a team that didn't make the tournament.
Right.
You lose 4-3 at home. That could have sent them in the wrong direction. And he said, we've got a keeper who just wills us.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, John, but that was a match that they were leading 3-1 in the 61st minute.
Against St. John's, yeah.
And to lose 25 seconds into overtime in that match, as you said, that can send a team the wrong way, and they absolutely responded the other.
Barr just a little bit too much on that touch. Trying to connect with Dewey. Can the Cats find some space for McEnroy? They've yet to find that in the opening half of this first half.
And I think they're just missing some distribution through the midfield right now, John. They've done okay getting it out of the back, but they don't have a trigger puller in the midfield right now, and I think that was Chloe O'Neill, who was really that, binding force between the front and back, and she's a big miss right now on the pitch.
And again, 6 of the starting 11 on opening day for this Villanova team have had season-ending surgery. Mind-boggling and unfortunate. Yet here they are now looking to rally. Connor Huggins with a burst of speed. Huggins, the senior, trying to equalize, striking off target.
It's good vision by Huggins, just taking the space that she was given. And then the shot from about 25 yards away. Yeah, you take your chances.
Here's Jenna Prathup, the junior, coming on for Sydney Shembry. And how about Jenna Prathup's season coming up with a game winner in the final seconds of regulation against DePaul earlier this year?
Yeah, and I mean, she's a player that, again, Nately trusts off the bench. And, he talked to us about his substitutions. He said, we don't always start our best 11. We're managing the 90. We're going to get the best out of the most people. So I thought that was just a really interesting coaching philosophy, not something I'd really heard before, but he wants to play the substitution game with as much detail orientation as he does everything. And he's really game planning all the way down to who starts and substitutes.
It makes them quite a tough team to scout for.
Oh, it absolutely does. You don't know who's coming in when or where. Yeah, and he's done a really nice job with that. And as you said, really intense about every part of coaching is Nate Lee.
And when you're that intense and you hold your players to a high standard, not to mention he's in his third season as the head coach, so some of these players he didn't recruit. We asked him yesterday, how's the connection then when you hold them to that high of a standard with your players? And he said, in particular with this group, they've taken the ownership of a lot of the things that he would attempt to put down, and he came off really proud of that.
And, he said that, things on the pitch, they're holding them to a very high standard, the absolute best that they can produce. But, some other things, they loosen the reins a little bit. They don't lock them in their hotel rooms when they're on the road. They go out and do things. They leave it up to them to be responsible. So, it's kind of give and take, and it's good to see a coach that understands that.
Sroka on the right end. To the top of the box with some space. A shot saved by Gartner.
Well, that's one for the trophy case because Sam Dewey's not going to miss that one very often. But Gartner was right there in perfect spot to take it away.
Well, would have been Sam's 14th goal of the season. She's top 20 in women's college soccer with 13. Good maneuverability here. Nice move down the right side for the Cats. Wojnovic getting the start tonight with O'Neal and Molina down. Now here's Brooks Sroka again. How about the connection that Xavier can make long?
Yeah, they've played the long ball pretty well, and they found Sroka down this near wing a couple of times. They haven't been able to pay it off just yet, but that at least puts it in the head of the Villanova defense as they're pushing forward that the long ball could be coming.
Reagan Smith coming on for Villanova in the back line now. And Gabby Lepresti for Xavier, the junior. Now here's a ball from distance. Gartner off her line. It's off her hand, and fortunate for her, a Wildcat was waiting for it, and as Rosette just drills it away. McEnroy attempting to apply some pressure for Villanova, but this has been dictated by Xavier. A Musketeer team that might have to go through the two teams that beat them in the regular season to get the conference tournament crown. Georgetown the other. They play tonight against 6-seeded Providence. Can't write a better script than that.
Hey, that's the redemption story if I've ever heard one.
John Fanta, John Schreiner with you from Omaha. Did you go outside much throughout the day?
Yeah, I was outside a little, had some chores to do, some errands to run, and it wasn't nice.
Now the connection made, and all alone out in front as Gartner comes up with it. Sam Dewey got free. Good awareness by the veteran keeper for the Cats.
It's not a phrase you want to hear the announcer say if you're defending Xavier, as Sam Dewey got free. They've allowed her space on a couple of occasions now, and they've dodged the bullet both times.
Shea Safart to the near post, and that one, like the previous attempts for Villanova, off target. They fired away 4 shots. No major threat as the Cats go back to the bench. Shannon Casey, the senior, kept the Villanova season going with the goal in the 30th on Sunday against DePaul.
See if she's the good luck charm. Villanova, I don't feel good about them being behind going into half, John.
Sam Dewey lays it off. Prathup trying to find the Big East leading scorer, but Huggins takes it back. Open field pace now, and Villanova likes to play that way, but right now they're getting a taste of their own medicine. Good job by Smith to track that down defensively, or else Dewey was going to be there as Huggins has space.
That was a great give and go from Dewey. Made a great run after she made the pass, and Prathup just couldn't quite release it.
KC headed away. Now Rosette. Nobody home on that feed. Not only does Xavier have the 1-0 lead, John, but they just seem more poised in the midfield. Villanova, everything's come quick. Nothing too sustainable in the attack.
Yeah, I think the point you're making there is that Villanova not possessing through the midfield. They're not connecting passes. They get the ball past the midfield stripe and they just kind of launch one ahead, hoping it's all hopeful passes forward. And this is, back to the key to the game for me was them to get wide. It's going to be hard to move it through the middle against this Georgetown defense, and we haven't seen it too often. Xavier defense. But the Wildcats just haven't used the wide areas very well so far.
Still 14 minutes, just less than that, to try to find that. Out wide. Good speed here. That's the Cats' strength. They have a lot of quickness on the field. Xavier's been all over it defensively. Grace Brower stepped in. Now to the top of the area, laid off. Left-footed strike is high. Lepresti firing that one. Here's another look.
Good service in. Prathup just leaves it off the chest. Good run on by Lepresti, but you saw right there, John, she kind of swings down at the ball with her chest leaning back. That's usually going to send it high and over the bar.
Prathup's come on and made an impact.
She's been good. She's just caused a headache, if nothing else, at the back for Villanova. She's been in the right areas, receiving passes, forcing attention to come away from Dewey and others.
The junior was the hero against DePaul. Just a high motor player. Here's Jane Olcott. Olcott to the center of the area, headed back, and the official signaling it will be the Musketeers. A foul there on the feed. It's as big of a threat that we've seen in this first half. And that tells you, for Villanova, there just hasn't been much in the attacking third.
Well, it was a good delivery from Olcott. Just out of the reach of the head of McEnroy. Those are the kind of things that I think they need to look for. Some of those non-traditional sort of, out-of-the-box type thinking.
Barber will reset off the foul on Prathup. Both these teams are very physical, and both coaches don't mince words. They said to us, look, this is going to be a war.
Yeah, and, Prathup got a little talking to right at the end of that play from Lucas Feathers. So he's already sort of laying down a marker to say, hey, I know you want to play physical, but you've got to keep it within the rules. Not going to let this one get out of hand.
The regular season conference champions up 1-0. Looking for a second here. Gartner had a leap up for it with that tough angle. Reeled it in. Interesting ball from the freshman, Maddie Thiss, an all Big East freshman.
One of the things, John, about Xavier that I noticed with Nate Lee, he's not just recruiting, good technically skilled players or good athletes. He's also recruiting players from winning programs and clubs. Almost every player on this roster, you look at their bio, it says state champion, won the ECNL. They were their regional district champions. It's something that coaches have focused on, I think, more recently. Not just taking the best player available, but taking players who know how to win.
You just saw Daniel Klitnovici standing and directing traffic. Chris McLean actually seated on the bench.
He's a pretty chill guy.
When the game's not being played.
When the game's not being played, of course.
We love the fire. Coming over from Ohio State. And success with the Buckeyes there, knows what it takes to get to the NCAA tournament, and that's what Villanova was looking for. Mark Jackson, Lynn Ty, and the athletic department bringing him in, and, well, he has produced at a high rate. Now 1 win away from what would be the program's second appearance, only the second in the Big East Finals. Now here's a run from Tori Alfaro. Samantha Dewey gets it to her chest, and Dewey, what a tackle for the Cats to take it back.
Yeah, it was. It looked like it was going to be an attacking opportunity for Xavier, and heck of a tackle out wide.
Laid back, and Grace Brower's been so steady throughout the first 45. Rosette up to McEnroy. 9 goals on the season for the All-Big East first teamer, and now she comes up with a dish. Villanova, this is as deep as they've gotten, and Xavier all over it defensively on that cross. Maddie Thiss bullets it back to the midfield. Still, that's the kind of action that they've been looking for. Huggins has 2 shots. Now here's a pass. She was onside, was McEnroy. Nothing doing. And Huggins, for the 3rd time, letting one loose.
Yeah, it went skew off the outside of her foot. Never really threatened to get near the goal.
If somebody's scoring from distance tonight, it is going to be one of the goals of the season in college soccer.
Yeah, because the 2 keepers are sensational.
And it's 27 degrees.
Yes.
You're going to need to really find that touch. It's tough. It's a challenging night to get that touch off.
You got a cold, hard ball that's not going to be kind to being struck.
No.
Your boots are cold and hard. Everything is just way more difficult to pull off in this weather. It's not quite as bad as if there was 2 inches of snow on the turf, but it's not a lot different.
Both these teams are very difficult to prepare for from an offensive standpoint because they just don't give up much. And if you're looking for ways to find a loophole, it's going to be tough because they zone in on your best player and they do everything they can to take them away.
Well, it's gonna for either team. It's gonna have to be something that is exactly the way Xavier scored.
Yep.
A couple of great touches with an inch-perfect pass to a player who made the run at the right time. It's just got to be, a really, really good sequence of events to beat either one of these defenses and goalkeepers.
That's what it was. A feed from Rachel Dewey, tapping it into the middle of the area. Carrie Lewis on the receiving end, and the junior, a transfer from NC State, delivers that moment of when you transfer, you think, can I create those moments for myself in this switch? Is it the right place for me? And she stepped up. Just 15 minutes into this one. What a time for her second goal of the year.
Yeah, we certainly hope Carrie Lewis is okay. We saw her exit this match with what looked like some sort of a right leg injury. Can't be certain what it is and won't speculate, but
Shannon Casey with good control. Shea Safar to the middle of the box, and Jenkins is there off that tap. Off the foot of Stadler. Jenkins all over it. They call her OJ.
that's a tough technique. When the ball's coming over your shoulder, you're trying to strike it on the full volley. Stadler did a good job just to get a foot on it. Man, what an opportunity. Goes begging right there.
4.5 to go in this opening half. The goal coming in the 15th minute. Now here's a strike from distance to the left-hand side, off target. Villanova with 7 shots on the half. Only 1 on target as the Musketeers go back to their bench. Rachel Butler, the sophomore, in the midfield. Allie Anderson as well.
Allie Anderson's a player who hasn't played a ton. She has played in 13 matches, just not a lot of minutes. She's appeared now. This is her 3rd straight appearance, averaging about 13 minutes a match. So they'll get her sort of last 7 minutes of each half, maybe on either side of the halftime, to give a starter an extended break, something like that.
She's got the warmest body temperature coming into the game because the benches are heated tonight. And so if you are on the bench,
In feels like 25, that goes away quickly.
well, that's true. They're trying. There they are. You know what? We could use one of those up in our booth right now.
Wouldn't mind it.
You opened up the window before kickoff, and, well, it's still open right now. What did I tell you before kickoff? What should we do, close it or keep it open? And you said?
I said open it.
Yep. You're Omaha tough, man.
Well,
Now, look, I'm a kid from Cleveland. I know,
well, yeah,
I know Lake Erie, man.
you know. It's not like it's
Yeah.
balmy in Cleveland right now.
No, it's not. They got snow today.
It's after Halloween. When doesn't Cleveland get snow?
Good point. Good point. Here it's 1-0, Xavier. 15 minutes in, Carrie Lewis stepping up. And the Musketeers have been such a strong second-half team as well. To paint the picture again, they've outscored their opponents 22-4 in the second half. So if you're looking to respond against them, it's been tough to do so. And that's why they're the regular season champions in the Big East, overtaking Georgetown's 2-year run. Now just outside the area, ball fed to the 6, headed right away. This Musketeer defense has been razor sharp.
Brower just did such a good job right here. Here's the service in, and look at Brower just doing battle on that far post with Stadler, winning the header. Well done.
Chris McLean voicing his displeasure off the call.
Chill no longer.
No. Final 90 seconds here of this first half. Back on September 29th, these two teams met. Villanova won at Higgins Soccer Complex 1-0. Tonight, if the Wildcats are going to come out victorious, they're going to have to do it against a defense that has produced 10 clean sheets on the year. As Macy Harper, the freshman, comes on. What a journey to this point for Xavier, John. And to think now, they had the week layoff. You asked Nate Lee, was this going to be a good thing or a bad thing? He said, we'll find out. I think based on this first half, this team, they haven't missed a beat.
No, they haven't. But also I think he didn't really feel like it was a good thing that they had gotten a week layoff, because he said, their week layoff earlier in the season, they came out flat, didn't feel like they played very well. So I think there was some concern for him coming into this one, but turns out to be unwarranted. His team has looked every bit the part of the number 1 seed here in the first half.
If you're Chris McLean, what's your message to your Villanova team to respond?
Hey, keep hacking, They've had some chances. We've held them out for all but one. And, look, we're capable. I think you have to believe.
5 seconds left off this free kick. Now Farrow from distance. Xavier Musketeers, the regular season Big East champions, lead 1-0 at the break on Carrie Lewis's second goal of the season. In the 15th minute, Rachel Dewey with a brilliant feed, and the Musketeers take in the first half advantage.
Hey, having the lead at the break, so important. When you come out, we restart the cold warm-up once again, and who knows how long that takes.
The Musketeers coming in with a 14-3-2 record and a conference best 10 clean sheets. They needed that early strike, and they got it off a beautiful dish from Rachel Dewey to Carrie Lewis. That's the difference right now, as the top seed owns the first half advantage. More to come on the Big East Digital Network.
It's time to fuel your ambitions by taking charge of your student debt. At SoFi, we've helped over 250,000 people refinance their student loans, saving thousands of dollars. Now you can pay off your student loans faster and reach your goals sooner. See how much you can save in just 2 minutes at SoFi.com/save.
What is a Villanovan in 30 seconds? Well, Villanovans aim high. Top 50 National University high. We think fast and stay connected. V's up. Villanovans think deeply, push boundaries, and go, go, go! Still with me? We climb corporate ladders and these ladders. This campus is our home, but you can find us almost anywhere. Villanovans have big hearts and solve even bigger problems, and we celebrate together. Ignite change, go Nova.
Somebody get the s'mores out here in Omaha. Come on, that's what we're thinking of. We're thinking of summer thoughts here as the feels like temperature is 27 degrees, so the heaters are out. We've heard one might be coming to the booth. He's John Schreiner. I'm John Fanta to recap the first half. The goal coming 15 minutes in from Carrie Lewis on a beautiful feed from Rachel Dewey.
Yeah, Rachel Dewey, I mean, that was just the one moment of quality, and that's what it took. You know, we said from the outset, it's going to take the perfect moment to break down one of these defenses. Rachel Dewey produced it. Carrie Lewis was on the spot when she needed to be, redirected the pass right into the side netting. It was just a beautiful moment for Xavier.
Here's the question for the final 45. Was it Villanova just a little bit off in their attack, or is that more so just how difficult it is to press against Xavier?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of a feeling out process for Villanova because I felt like they did get stronger as that first half progressed. We saw a couple of chances, half chances that almost came through there at the end of the first half. But again, the cold weather, I think they were slower to adapt in that first half than maybe Xavier was. I think that, in that first half, Villanova's focus was so defensive. They were so worried about what Xavier was going to do. They weren't able to move the ball through midfield well enough to connect any passes to the front. They got a little looser after they went down a goal and started creating some things. I think that's got to continue and get a little better in the second half.
For the Cats, they wrote in 3 straight shutouts, so they've got to go back into their drawing board and try to find that formula for a comeback. And safe to say, while you would be worried about Xavier on the attack, as much as the Musketeers have 10 clean sheets on the season, they now have 21 goals against Big East teams this season. That is a conference high. So we'll see how these two teams adjust as the fans try to adjust. They are bundled up. That hat is coming in handy. No doubt about that. As the Musketeers lead 1-0 at the break. We'll talk about other Big East headlines with a Fall Sports Update next.
What is a Villanovan in 30 seconds? Well, Villanovans aim high. Top 50 National University high. We think fast and stay connected. V's up. Villanovans think deeply, push boundaries, and go, go, go! Still with me? We climb corporate ladders and these ladders. This campus is our home, but you can find us almost anywhere. Villanovans have big hearts and solve even bigger problems, and we celebrate together. Ignite change, go Nova.
Back here at the half of the Big East Women's Soccer Championship semifinals, driven by Jeep, right here on the Big East Digital Network, presented by SoFi. John Fanta here with you from Omaha, and what a season it was in Big East Women's Soccer. Georgetown is looking for a four-peat this weekend in the tournament, but they are not the top seed. Xavier is, as we take a look at some of the conference's top award winners, and they are spread across this league with stars. Let's look at the all-conference second team. And who stands out? Julia Lease. She's part of the wall for Georgetown. One of 3 Hoyas on the second team. There's a couple of Musketeers as well. Kristen Barber for Villanova, and then Skylar Heinrich for Creighton. She is flat out quick as they come in the way that she attacked. Here's the all-freshman team. Heinrich, she's part of a stellar freshman class in the conference, and a lead also comes to mind for Georgetown, what she's been able to do in the cage. And then you've got a St. John's midfielder in Isabel Aviza. The Johnnies were young this year, but watch out for Aviza in the future for the Red Storm program under Ian Stone. Here's the first team, and these are the big names in the conference. 3 Hoyas. It feels like they've been around forever, and Jermino Watnick, Carolyn, and Nally. How about those 2 Butler Bulldogs? Annika Schmidt, part of a really stout defense. Katie Soderstrom, she gets it done in the attack. And then you've got Samantha Dewey, Grace Barr for Xavier. Shelby Hogan also comes to mind in goal. As we look at the major award winners in this conference, Bryce McEnroy also highlighting things. And, man, Johnny Kajan in Queens, she is a joy to watch for St. John's. Just wills them throughout. When you overtake Georgetown in this conference for a championship, you get the Big East Coaching Staff of the Year. Nate Lee and his staff in year 3 have delivered, and that is why he and his staff got that honor from the Big East Conference. A 14-win campaign. Xavier's just 1 win away from setting a new program record with 15. Skylar Heinrich, Women's Soccer Freshman of the Year, delivering a double-digit amount of goals this season for the Blue Jays. And I'll tell you what, watching this conference throughout the season, nobody was quicker than Skylar Heinrich. It's scary to think she's a freshman for Ross Poly. The future is bright for the Jays, and she's their foundation. In the midfield, Paula Jermino Watnick. The game just goes at her speed. She is a perfectionist. Dave Nolan's told us about that, and that might be her biggest flaw. Jermino Watnick will graduate with a degree in medicine. She's got a future there like mom and dad, but she might have a professional career for a bit of time as well with how strong she is. The senior will be missed. Defensively, so will Megan Nally. Part of the winningest senior class in Georgetown program history. The Hoyas, they are so stout in the back. Nally gets it done for them time and again. As for the Offensive Player of the Year in this league, it was tight, tough, but at the end of the day, it goes to Johnny Kajan. What she did for St. John's throughout this season. You talk about someone who wills a team. The Johnnies going to Villanova and winning this year. It's one of the highlight comeback victories by any team in the Big East. That was all Johnny Kajan taking over. The redshirt junior, it'll be exciting to see her back next year for Ian Stone. Shelby Hogan in net for the Friars, a junior who has been so tremendous in the cage. When talking to Sam Lopes about her, he says, Shelby gets it all done in terms of the explosive plays, but what makes her different now as a junior is her footwork and her connection with the back line. Those are your major award winners. We'll look at Big East men's soccer, cross country, and volleyball coming up here on the Big East Digital Network Halftime Report.
It's time to fuel your ambitions by taking charge of your student debt. At SoFi, we've helped over 250,000 people refinance their student loans, saving thousands of dollars. Now you can pay off your student loans faster and reach your goals sooner. See how much you can save in just 2 minutes at SoFi.com/save.
What is a Villanovan in 30 seconds? Well, Villanovans aim high. Top 50 National University high. We think fast and stay connected. V's up. Villanovans think deeply, push boundaries, and go, go, go! Still with me? We climb corporate ladders and these ladders. This campus is our home, but you can find us almost anywhere. Villanovans have big hearts, solve even bigger problems, and we celebrate together. Ignite change, go Nova.
You are looking live at Morrison Stadium here in frigid Omaha, Nebraska, as the Big East Halftime Report rolls on here on the BEDM, presented by SoFi. John Fanta here with you from the broadcast booth. And a reminder, right here at Morrison, there will be a Big East first-round showdown in men's soccer when Creighton takes on Butler. The Big East men's soccer first round will come on Saturday at noon Eastern time. Earlier in the day, Providence will take on Marquette. The winner between Providence and Marquette will play St. John's and Queens. The winner between Creighton and Butler will travel to D.C. to take on Georgetown. The Jays might face Butler and Georgetown a total of 4 times combined. Literally the same exact schedule they've just played in the last week. They could end up playing in the upcoming week, with Butler coming in Saturday, just like last week, and then potentially a Wednesday date with the Hoyas. So an interesting note there in Big East men's soccer, as Georgetown and St. John's will sit at home this weekend awaiting those winners. That'll be on the Big East Digital Network this Saturday, by the way, for the Big East men's soccer first round. Let's look at cross country. It was this past weekend in Wisconsin. And on the men's side, it was Villanova who came out with the title. The Wildcats getting it done with their depth. And for Villanova, what a big moment for them to end a 4-year run. The new men's champions. On the women's side, it was Butler. Julia Royston and the Dogs getting it done, ending a 2-year run by Villanova. And for Butler women's cross country, what a defining moment for that program to come out with their first Big East championship. The second half of the Big East women's soccer semifinals is next from Omaha.
It's time to fuel your ambitions by taking charge of your student debt. At SoFi, we've helped over 250,000 people refinance their student loans, saving thousands of dollars. Now you can pay off your student loans faster and reach your goals sooner. See how much you can save in just 2 minutes at SoFi.com/save.
Look at Kristen Barber, the captain for Villanova, and it's times like these where you need your leader to step up. The Cats down 1-0 to Xavier with the final 45 ahead for a ticket to the Big East Championship game on Sunday. John Fanta, John Schreiner with you from frigid Omaha. John, what's the key to the final 45?
I think for Villanova, it's the same as it was to start the game. They're going to have to find a way to get into those wide areas and provide some service to Bryce McEnroy. We saw at the end of the half, they started to do it. They started to find some gaps and serving some balls in. The Xavier defense was good, but one of those is going to find its way through. And for Xavier now, it's got to be lockdown time. You cannot give up any cheap goals. You can't make mistakes at the back. The passing has to stay sharp. This is just focus time for Xavier.
This is prime time for this Musketeers program. They've never been to the Big East Championship game. And you think about this program, they have not come out with a conference title since 2000 before this season. That was back in their Atlantic 10 days. So for this program, setting up a championship Sunday, a hallmark moment is on the horizon.
Yeah, and I'm sure that Nate Lee and company are still very nervous for this second half. Confident, but but still concerned because, Villanova's a dangerous team. They can put it away. They've shown that propensity to finish in tight games.
Xavier 45 minutes away from setting a new program record for single-season victories. And they've come out guns a-blazing here with Stroka defended by Huggins. Huggins for Villanova wins out this time. Here's Macy Harper coming on near the end of the first half. Out wide for Brower, and it creates a corner. Second corner of the match for Xavier, just like the first half. It came in the opening seconds.
Sam Rosette is probably lucky to not get a handball call right there, as that was an awkward cross in for her to deal with.
Well, it's not a true corner. That one signaled
I think it is a handball.
a handball. Grace Barr, 8 assists on the year to the back post. It's in a dangerous spot, now kicked in for the second goal for Xavier. The Musketeers make it 2-love. Wait to see, as that was in a scramble out in front of the cage. Who scored that one, but what a way to start the second half.
I think it might have been McLaughlin. Did McLaughlin get the last touch? No, it's Brower.
It is. And this all created because Gardner came off and ended up falling down.
Excuse me.
It's Haley Jakovich.
Jakovich. I thought it was Brower that came in late.
Jakovich steps up for the Musketeers. How about that?
How about her second goal of the season?
For the sophomore. And the Musketeers, they could smell the blood, and they went for it. Now Rosette from distance right into the hands of Olivia Jenkins. Well, Nate Lee put his foot on the gas pedal at halftime. His team now has cushion, and in this frigid air, that means more than it ever has.
Well, they've only conceded 2 goals in their last 5 matches, the Musketeers. So if Villanova is to come back, they're going to have to match that total.
And folks, in 19 matches this season, Xavier has conceded 4 goals total in the second half.
It's unreal. It's just, that is tremendous focus. But hey, that's taking advantage of an opportunity. An early set piece in the second half, you're leading by a goal. That is a put-away moment right there for Xavier. That is mental toughness. You're coming out of the locker room. Your body's not warmed up yet. It's cold. Doesn't feel nice, running into each other in the box, but staying alive. Jakovich with the great awareness, reading that play, staying deep, coming off the ball as it comes out of the scrum and hits a great shot.
And Grace Barr started with a tremendous feed to the back post. Jakovich's goal is unassisted as it's being scored right now. It came off a rebound. But Barr might as well get the assist because she created the chaos there on the feed.
Yeah, and the ball was put into a dangerous area, and you'd maybe like to see Gardner do better off her line with that being so close to the goal line, that service. But, that's tough to put that on the goalkeeper.
How about the Xavier Musketeers? The Big East regular season champions are flexing their muscles here in Omaha. This program won just 1 conference game 3 years ago. Now they're on the doorstep of history. Offside called on Dewey. A win, as that was Sroka down the left side, rather. A win, and you produce your record for single-season victories. On top of that, you'll be heading to your first conference tournament final in almost 2 decades. Barber. Off the hands of Jenkins. She's been at the right place at the right time all day, and any of those difficult balls seemingly haven't ended up giving her too much trouble.
That's the closest thing she's had to a spill tonight. She's controlled everything from the back for the most part.
She'll suit up for Xavier women's basketball after what she hopes is a Big East championship and some sort of NCAA tournament run. Look at Samantha Dewey in control. Was cut off that time, well, by Kristen Barber. Now the Cats need some sort of a spark here with less than 40 to go.
Alcott looks like she might be that spark.
Seyfarth. And fed back. McEnroy now. 9 goals on the year. The sophomore transfer from Tennessee with a left-footed strike, and it's saved by Jenkins. Rather just over the top. Looked like she might have gotten a piece of that. Never got on target, but what a shot by McEnroy. Well, that was close.
Just off the top of the bar. That's a difficult shot to handle for any goalkeeper. Just needed a little bit more dip at the end of that shot, did McEnroy.
Xavier's pressure has been non-stop. Just Shembry right now.
And Sid Shembry is a player that Nate Lai really wants, he felt like needed to get her going here late in the season. He said that she's a player, if she can come on, she's pretty special.
Rosette. Now Olcott. Back to Barber. Pass cut off by Barr. Barber pressing higher. The adjustments are now coming for Chris McLean's group. More numbers forward. Center of the area. Header back towards the far post, and Jenkins is there. She's only had to make one save today. Nothing dangerous from the Wildcats thus far in this semifinal.
Well, you're seeing that Villanova is pressing up higher. They're committing more bodies to attack. They're really chasing the game hard right now. And for Xavier, now is when you start thinking counterattack. This is when good teams who have a multi-goal lead can really put the ice on the other team.
McEnroy. Now to Rosette. Sam Rosette. It's a corner for the Cats, their first of the match.
Well, here's an opportunity to make things interesting for Villanova. This is one of those situations, trailing 2-0. They say in soccer, they say it in hockey too, 2-0 is a dangerous lead because a goal for the other team cuts the lead in half. Then it's a 1-goal game, and the other team has momentum.
You see 9 Musketeers on your screen inside the 6. Only Brooke Soroka's outside the box. Corner, headed up into the air. Jenkins has fallen down. Now a strike left of the cage.
Goalkeeper was nowhere to be found.
It was Allison Breed with the left-footed attack.
Breed just couldn't direct it on target. If she straightens that out, it's a 1-goal game once again.
Villanova out shooting Xavier 9-7. But only 1 shot on target for the Wildcats. Huggins doubled, maneuvered her way around. Connor Huggins, the senior, trying to keep her career going here tonight. Laid off, just outside the area now, left-footed strike high. That one flying in. And get another look at it with Seyfarth, but they just haven't really been able to challenge Jenkins here tonight as Villanova goes back to Shannon Casey, who comes on for Allison Breed. Maybe Casey's the formula. She scored on Sunday.
I'm sure that McLean and company are hoping so, but just wanted to highlight Grace Karajosi over on the far side. She's done some nice work here starting out this second half, getting down that wing, getting into the wide areas, and then playing some passes back across the middle that have created some confusion.
That was your key at the outset, to get wide.
It seems like it's started to take root with Villanova, and they're really attempting to do it more, and they're finding some success.
Xavier just knows how to set the tone to each half. They've done it all season long. It's why they've matched a program record with 14 wins on the campaign. And tonight, that's held to be true again. A goal in the 15th from Carrie Lewis and Haley Jakovich off a scramble, both scoring for the second time apiece this year. It's been all Musketeers here tonight as Gartner drills it away, and if she didn't, it was going to be a third. Dewey was speeding ahead. That's got to be the scariest image in Big East soccer, with Dewey on your tracks.
I mean, that was such a great delivery on that breakout pass out of the back. If Gartner's not well off her line, Dewey's probably picking that up and slotting it home in the back of the net.
Maddie Thist. Now this one hopper eaten up by Gartner. Huggins. That's the other thing. Xavier defensively, they're so stout in the midfield. And for Villanova, it's been tough for them to get it out wide because anytime they've started centrally, things just haven't worked out. And that ball, brought the ball over it.
Yeah, just not very crisp on the pass there.
This one out of the reach for the Cats. A goal kick for Jenkins as you see Grace Barr. There's Sam Rosette, who's been such a difference maker for this program this year. A transfer from Virginia who has been such a vital part of the attack. But tonight, that attack has been shut down. Samantha Dewey nearly just got to that ball and would have had space to her right. Barber. This one just hangs in.
Hey, you got to give credit to Villanova right now, John. I think that, you know, being down 2 goals here in the cold, away from home, be easy to get a little bit downtrodden and maybe hang your head and not show the kind of effort that they're definitely showing right now. They are battling. They are scratching for everything they've got to try and find a goal and get back into this match.
This program came into the night riding 3 straight clean sheets. They've been so tough to beat defensively as of late, and Gartner a big reason for that. Kristen Barber, Connor Huggins also in the back line, part of a senior core that's been so big. Here's Olcott from distance. Villanova thought it went off Jenkins' hand, and the official signaling for a goal kick.
Well,
we'll get the best look here.
Well, she definitely touched it.
That is off her hands.
Yeah, the fingertip definitely bent back. And John, if she doesn't touch it, that's probably coming back into play off the bar. So
Well,
we don't like to give the officials too much trouble, but I think they missed one right there.
It's encouraging, though, if you're Villanova, because Olcott had a ton of space. That's the one saving grace, if there is one, for Villanova, is that because Xavier put so many behind the ball, you might have some space that you otherwise wouldn't at the edge of that attacking third.
Yeah, shots from distance, and they're going to have to be special to beat
No
a
question.
keeper like Jenkins. But hey, it takes special moments to win championships.
Barber with the feed, and that cut off beautifully. Stepping in that time, Grace Brower again.
Yeah, Brower's had a really nice match tonight, and she planted her feet and stayed where she needed to stay. So many times defenders will overrun the play and they fall victim to that little cutback. But Brower just did a really nice job keeping her feet underneath her.
High pressure from Villanova on a throw-in. The tenor of this game changing a little bit here, John.
Well, Villanova's picked up the tempo. They're putting the pressure on, and like I said, committing more bodies to the attack.
Right side in the area. McEnroy trying to get to it. It's bulleted away. And Sroka flying up the right side before Alfero's there. Huggins. Villanova putting numbers ahead. Wildcats wanted a foul. Huggins retakes. And now Huggins with a right-footed strike from distance back to the near post. Nothing this time. Couple of substitutions now for a Musketeers team filled with depth. Rachel Butler coming back on. Emily Burden as well. For Xavier, they've played 20 here tonight.
They play a lot of players. I mean, you're going to see in our next match, Georgetown doesn't really go deep to the bench, and that's kind of unique this season in the Big East. I feel like a lot of the coaches this year have been very trusting of players coming off the bench. They've allowed them to play in big minutes, and it's been interesting to see. And I think most of the staffs in the Big East are using 16, 17, 18 players a match.
Villanova, because they're so shorthanded with Chloe O'Neal, Nikki Molina going down, you're down to just 14 players here thus far. That might be it. Here's a feed to the middle of the area. This one back to the near post and out for a goal kick for Gartner. Take a look at the Cats looking on in concern. This is their biggest adversity that they've seen all season. A 10-6-4 Wildcats team that hasn't been in this Big East semifinal since 2004.
And whistle on McEnroy. She tried the back heel flick, didn't come off, and then as she's trying to win the ball back, just goes in a bit reckless. And that's the one thing now that Villanova do have to avoid, that urgency doesn't become recklessness. I mean, you go a player down with a silly foul, or you allow a run out the other way on a sloppy pass, and then it might be curtains.
Oh, it's over if that happens.
So, yeah, urgency but not recklessness right now for Villanova.
Two love, Xavier on top. The first in the 15th off the foot of Carrie Lewis, who was in the center of the area after a beautiful dish from the near side. Rachel Dewey stepping up. Lewis striking for her second goal of the year. Now here's a left-footed strike, and Jenkins got a hand to it to save it. That's as dangerous of a look that we've seen, and this time it stopped.
Well, that's just a tremendous save. Shea Seyfarth, the shot from distance. And Look, Jenkins has been tested already here in the second half, John, and she has risen to the challenge.
Barber, center of the area. And for Villanova, it's been a couple of so close moments here as of late. Transition opportunity for Xavier. Gardner way off her line. And she is a good 30 yards out to make sure that didn't get dangerous.
Yeah, off the set piece, when you're attacking and committing bodies forward, this is what can happen.
Well, and that's an instance where Xavier realizes the transition chance there. They had some players centrally to potentially find wide open space. You just brought it up, John, moments ago, that Villanova's also got to be careful. Look, you need one, but you don't want to end the game off sending too many forward here with 25 to play. Here's one, fed in. Now outside. Another opportunity for a service here. This over the cage. And Gardner wants to work quickly. Jackie Richards coming back on for Xavier. Richards, a freshman who has started in 5 games this year. She's played in all 19. You think about it, this Xavier program's got a couple of underclassmen who can really play at a high level that will carry the torch from here on out after this year.
Yeah, it's not over for Xavier.
Isn't it amazing to think that this program was in the basement of this conference just a couple of years ago?
You know, sometimes coaching changes make a difference. And it's not to say that, we wish that coaches who don't have a ton of success in this conference get fired, but sometimes it's necessary. And when you find the right person to come in who has the right personality to mix with the players that are already on campus and the ability to bring in the ones that he or she wants, those are the building blocks for success, and Nate Lee has certainly been exactly that. The regimented, disciplined play, high demands placed on his players. It's worked. It worked probably better than anybody could have expected this quickly.
Kara Josie, who you've been complimentary of throughout this second half, she's got a throw in.
Yeah, she's been a little spark plug out there on the right side. There's Nate Lee.
In year 3, 22 and change away from leading this program to a single season record for wins with 15, and what would be the first conference tournament title game appearance for Xavier since 2000. He holds his players to a high standard, but on the flip side, his players have embraced that, and they know he has their back.
Right. And I thought it was so interesting. We've been talking about the cold and how it's going to affect people. And he said that there's just no room for excuses in his program. He said, it's cold. I acknowledge that, but I don't care.
Opportunity knocks again for the Musketeers. Richards down the right side, offside on Butler, who thought at that moment was hers.
Butler playing for Xavier, that's really confusing.
That rivalry knows no limits. It's been special to watch in the Big East. We saw it last week renewed in the Selleck Bowl. But yes, it gets you to think twice or maybe 3 times when it feels like 25 degrees outside.
It's just not fair to the commentators when you have a player named Butler at Xavier University.
Mm-hmm. They will show you no mercy, John Schreiner.
Okay.
Now here's Barber down the right side with the feet at the top of the area. Just on the edge, a left-footed strike, and the one-hop smash eaten up off the foot of McEnroy, who's led this Villanova team with 9 goals on the year. You get the sense that they miss Chloe O'Neal tonight, the sophomore who has 7 dishes.
Yeah, I said it pretty early on in that first half, actually, that the trigger puller was missing, and I think that's Chloe O'Neal. And they certainly miss all those players that they were looking to have start throughout this season. But the two recently who had been really good, in O'Neal and Molina, that they lost most recently, they had kind of been the beating heart of the team at the back and in the middle.
Good ball down the left side. Here's a feed to the back post. Didn't end up connecting with anybody, and it's pointed back in Villanova's direction with 20 precious minutes left. Villanova needs to have a moment now.
Got Langford for colliding with the goalkeeper back there. That's going to result in this free kick and relieve the pressure again for Villanova.
Not much relief for the Cats in terms of the situation. Down 2-love to a program that has only given up 4 second-half goals in 19 games. Jenna Prothop checks back on. Prothop's just caused chaos here tonight. The junior, she just is seemingly around the ball at any moment. That's the last player you want to see if you're Villanova.
Right.
This deep into a game, and you need to start to create some things. Look, Prothop comes right on. She's got it. McElroy now trying to find some transition. This goes back to what you said, though, John. Playing Xavier's unlike playing anybody else in the Big East in that they've always got those three back there, and they put so many behind with 5 in the midfield. It's tough to generate a counter.
And they substitute so often, so they're always fresh.
Here's a good ball. And into the area with a cross move. Jenkins stopped it. OJ to the rescue.
Oh, Kara Josie, she was in. She was all alone, one-on-one with the keeper. But the shot doesn't have quite enough quality. She puts it right into the arms of Jenkins. That's right down the middle of the goal, John. That's got to be put to either corner.
Wow, what a stop by the sophomore keeper. My goodness.
She's been under pressure in this second half, and she's performed.
Just as she's done all season long. That is insane. And this Xavier system is really special in that you won't see Olivia Jenkins on Sunday if Xavier, in fact, advances, because they'll go back to Tony Bizzarro in goal. Bizzarro fits. It's a bit bizarre in that all season long, as you take a look at the foul that's committed here, the wraparound.
I don't think it was a foul call. They came back for an injured player, and it's Bryce McElroy who's trotting off the field for Villanova. Not a good sign.
That's the last thing you want to see is your leading goal scorer go down when you're down 2-0. But that's the situation.
It's not to diminish her or anything, John, but she's been shut out for a large portion of the second half, McElroy. It's been the players around her that have been able to find some space and generate the opportunities. That defense is so focused in on her, somebody else has got to step up and take control.
Well said. And you think about the goalkeeper situation again. You've got a sophomore in Jenkins who's in this role. And let's face it, it's not as if one game's bigger than the other. You've got to get to the championship game by winning this one. It's here now down the left side. Xavier looking for a dagger. On the end line, it is a corner.
But, to your point, it's not like it gets any easier with Bizzarro in
No,
net.
it doesn't at all. In fact, it gets harder.
She's only allowed goals in 3 matches this season.
Yeah.
3 came against Murray State, but there's only 3 matches where a ball's found the back of the net.
Her goals against average, .48. She's got 7 shutouts on the year, 7 of the 10. Jenkins with the other 3. Third corner of the night for Xavier. Harmless.
Ugh, that's not going to make Nate Lee very happy. Doesn't matter if they're up 2-0 or not. But those are the kinds of things that will drive a coach crazy. A set-piece opportunity that's not delivered.
As Claire Fisher comes on for the Musketeers, they've played 20 players here tonight. Everybody's getting involved. And on a frigid night in Omaha, that's how you keep the blood flowing. But when you come off to the bench, you've got heaters with you.
And sideline jackets. And I don't know if they have any hot cocoa down there. I would doubt it, but they should.
You were assigned the Swiss Miss duty tonight. Did you
Fail.
bring it?
Failure. You can't win them all.
You said you went on errands throughout the day.
I did,
thought for
you know.
sure you'd stop at CVS or Walgreens. They've got it in packets.
Well,
stop.
but did you bring the kettle, John? I thought you were supposed to bring the kettle.
They've got it here in the press
all
box
right.
somewhere.
Okay.
You could live here at Morrison Stadium if you'd like to.
We're in luxury town.
The coaches' offices are here at the stadium as Rosette lays it across. Prothup drilling it away. And now on the turn, a beautiful ball planted, but Gartner's all over it. So your season's waning down here potentially if you're Villanova. There's 15 minutes left to go, and Bryce McElroy has been off and taken away. What do you do?
Yeah, McElroy has come back on now. She was off just briefly, but you know, it's just keep doing what you've been doing. I mean, they're doing what they need to do. They're putting bodies forward. They're pressing an attack. They're creating chances from the wide areas. It's just that Xavier's very good, and you're not going to get too many opportunities.
The Big East women's soccer title game comes at you on Sunday, 4 Eastern Time, 3 Central. You can get tickets at www.bigeast.com/WSOC tickets. It's the Big East Women's Soccer Championship driven by Jeep. We'll be here at Morrison Stadium in Omaha and televised live to a national audience on FS1, streaming on the Fox Sports Go app. We'll be back with you on Sunday. We'll welcome in third member of our team, Monica Moore, who will fly in from D.C., and we're ready to roll. Should be fun no matter what matchup we get as Villanova tries to make it interesting here. It's Huggins, who's had 3 shots from right around this distance.
It looks like she's lining up to shoot this one as well.
Huggins lasers this one over the top.
And that's kind of how the previous 3 had gone as well. Huggins, she's had the power, just hasn't quite had the direction.
Coming up next, it is Georgetown and Providence in the 2-6 showdown. The Hoyas, number 18 team in the country. And the 3-time reigning Big East tournament champions. This senior class, the winningest in program history, looking for a 4-peat this weekend. But they potentially will have to go through the top team in the league in the regular season to do it. That said, Georgetown was able to get past Xavier in the regular season, so the Hoyas have that going for them. They've got a Providence team that, well, very interesting how they've gotten here. Just a week ago in South Orange, they lost 4-1 to Seton Hall.
Yeah.
The Pirates were on a 30-match Big East winless streak over the last 3 years, and that ended in shocking fashion. Then Providence had to sit and watch. Marquette lost, Creighton lost, everything aligned, and here they are with a case of divine providence. And now tonight, I know we'll talk at length about this heading into the game, but what's your thought on how Providence can try to give Georgetown a little bit of trouble?
Well, they're going to have to play probably better defense than they've played all season. I mean, they lost 4-0 to Georgetown in the regular season.
Sure.
That defense has got to be locked in and locked down. And then it's, I mean, maybe you hope for another penalty shootout.
I think you do. I'll tell you what, if you told Sam Lopes right now that he could go to PKs with Georgetown.
Take it.
Oh, he'd take
every
it
day
in a
of the
heartbeat.
week.
Yeah, absolutely. He'd probably ask you to take one of them for him, too. Well, for Providence, they've got a tremendous junior in Hannah McNulty, who has scored 9 times this season. She's been fantastic off the foul here. Villanova will reset.
I just wanted to say, John, earlier, it looks like we misidentified the free kick taker.
It's Ruiz.
It's Jasmine Ruiz, who's played in 1 match up to this point. Chris McLean pulling out all the stops.
Well, that's how banged up they are. Without O'Neal and Molina, the header now near post, nothing doing. Just a trying season in terms of injuries. And for Xavier, it's almost like they're rubbing it in a little bit with the fact that they've got 20 available players here, or 20 players that have appeared tonight.
Just rolling them in.
Yep. Lopresti, Richards back on in the late goings. Gartner, she's way off her line, and the offside flag goes up.
Yeah, Richards was well off, and it was just the side judge waiting until she affected the play to make the call.
A frigid night in Omaha, Nebraska. Great to be with you throughout it here as the Cats get a corner, their second of the night. 10 minutes left to decide who the first team is in the Big East Women's Soccer Finals on Sunday. Xavier, the regular season champion in the conference, they have controlled this affair 2-0. Barber goes short, left side of the box, back to the senior. Barber to the near post. Xavier handles it well. And now the foul on Villanova.
Yeah, and it's a foul preventing a potential breakaway by Barber, and that's going to draw the yellow card.
That's a smart card.
Well, she's got to do it. I mean, who knows what happens on the back end of that because she didn't get to the ball in time. They call it a professional foul. She's got to make the takedown and make the officials stop play.
After the game, John will head down to the frozen tundra for some post-game reaction. Right here on the Big East Digital Network is Gardner out in front, and she just survived what would have been the dagger. Very dangerous situation there as creeping up. Musketeers have Brower. Now Ruiz lays it in. And Huggins, she's that last line of defense for the Wildcats. Butler. It'll be a Villanova throw-in. Well, with less than 9 minutes to go, Xavier up 2-0. Villanova needing a prayer. Shannon Casey now to the left side in the box. Stadler with a move and a corner. And the Cats are knocking on that door again, John. This will be their 5th corner here.
Rachel Dewey with a critical defensive play right there, but does give away the corner. It's another opportunity for Villanova to steal one.
Shea Seyfart. Middle of the box off a Musketeer head and back to Huggins. Huggins with 4 shots on the night. Works her way through the contact. Now lays it ahead, left side of the area. And taken right back by the Musketeers. This 3-5-2 formation. Working on what would be an 11th clean sheet this season. This one bulleted away as Casey tried to move her way through. Seyfart. Official pointing for the Musketeers, much to the disgrace of Villanova, as Xavier enters in. Substitutes once again here. Musketeers going with Brooke Sroka, the 5 goals on the season, and then Samantha Dewey coming back on to be on the field for what would be Xavier history advancing to the Big East Finals for their first time. This is the step you want to take, John Schreiner, if you're the Musketeers. Last year you went to the semifinals, and they ended up losing to Georgetown in commanding fashion. It could be fitting if the Hoyas got past Providence, and that's a big if because the Friars know how to put up a great fight, that last obstacle could be the team that's owned the throne.
It would be sort of the old guard, new blood classic story, wouldn't it? Team that rose from the ashes of their performance just 3 years ago to come back and be at the top of the league would be some kind of turnaround.
Maddie Thiss, the all Big East freshman, coming back on. What's your takeaway from Villanova here as we've got 6 minutes left and the kind of step they took behind the senior class?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's a little – I mean, injuries are what they are, and every team has to deal with them at some point. But it's a little unfair to judge Villanova on this performance. You know, they've looked shorthanded at times, to be honest. I mean, some of their best players are missing, and this game would probably be drastically different had they had those players. Not saying that they definitely would have won, but it would have looked different to the eye. And I think Chris McLean has done a fantastic job now in his 4 seasons at Villanova, and the rest of the conference has to be, you know, put on notice now because Villanova women's soccer definitely not going to be a pushover going forward. It's good. This is a good program.
It's a good program. It's a great school to sell. There's not much selling to have to do because of the men's basketball success athletically, the resources that they're pouring into the campus, the way that the campus has evolved as Sam Rosette comes back on with Sarah Tarabasso. But you think about this program, the trajectory it's on, it's certainly encouraging. They've been able to bring in impact transfers. Now the next step will be, can they bring in some 4-year players as Xavier continues to press high with 4.5 left. And there's a reason to believe they'll be able to bring those 4-year players in.
Well, certainly, and you know, they're again, you can get it done if you bring in the right transfer players, and Chris McLean has proven that. But what you want is that steady influx, you know, of freshmen that eventually translate into senior leadership. So,
Casey to the near post.
Look, it recruiting those players in that Philadelphia, New York, Eastern Seaboard area, there's a ton of programs out there that are all vying for that, many of them in this conference and conferences like the ACC who, you know, produce college cup teams like, you know, they come out of a tap in the ACC, right? So I think recruiting is not necessarily terribly easy in that part of the country because there's a lot of competition, but as you say, with resources and tradition and just, you know, the general respect that school has, Chris McLean's got a lot to work with.
Rosette diving is Jenkins to keep it from crossing that end line, and Olivia Jenkins has been stellar here this evening.
She's the player of the match in my mind here in the second half, John. She's, you know, Villanova's thrown everything they had at her, and she's come up in every single situation.
The Wildcats have put on 17 shots, and the irony is in the first meeting between these two teams, it was Xavier who outshot Villanova. Xavier had 18 shots. Xavier came up short in late September to Villanova. 1-0, the Wildcats took it. It's here from distances, Casey, nothing doing there. But the Wildcats with a 17-7 shots advantage, 5 on goal. Jenkins with 5 saves. Just phenomenal what the sophomore has done. She'll suit up for the Xavier women's basketball program after soccer season ends. A special athlete for the Musketeers in more ways than one. Our coverage of the Big East Women's Soccer Tournament driven by Jeep rolls on here on the BEDN, presented by SoFi. Coming up, Georgetown and Providence for the other championship game ticket. With 2 minutes left in this one, the winner in all likelihood is offside is called. Winner will likely meet the Big East regular season champions for a tournament crown and a trip to the NCAA tournament. It's Georgetown and Providence coming up. Dave Nolan, the old guard. But Sam Lopes, so consistent, 3 straight semifinals. And the last time that Georgetown fell short in the Big East Championship was here in Omaha, and it came against those Providence Friars. A ball in the center of the area, headed right of the cage. That was dangerous, though, as McEnroy got to it.
Yeah, it's one of the first opportunities McEnroy's really had here in the second half. She's just been bracketed and taken completely out of the game by that Georgetown back line.
A last breath for Villanova. Barber goes to the near post, and nothing doing. Xavier with a chance here if they'd like, and out in transition now, the Musketeers. Dewey takes it in, and Samantha Dewey eaten up by Gartner. That would have been a storybook finish for the senior to make it 3.
Just didn't get enough on the chip. She was looking, keeper was off the line, was Gartner. Dewey was looking for the chip and just didn't quite get under it.
Tough night to chip.
It's a tough night to do anything.
But here, Xavier has controlled.
You probably noticed that my lips don't work right, so yeah, talking is hard.
Final seconds ticking down here from Omaha for the first ticket to the Big East Championship game. A Xavier program that won just 1 Big East game 3 years ago. For the first time in program history, the Musketeers will play in the Big East Championship game on Sunday. Xavier 2, Villanova 0, and the Musketeers are marching on to the finals. Their first conference tournament title game since 2000 lies ahead. And this historic season continues as they break a program record with their 15th win of the campaign. John Schreiner will have reaction with the Musketeers after this, as Xavier is heading to the Big East title tilt. A 2-love win behind Carrie Lewis. Her goal in the 15th, and then Haley Jakovich in the 47th. Here's Lewis, the junior, stepping up for her second of the season, 15 minutes in. And that's how the Musketeers set the tone. Just minutes into the second half, behind Olivia Jenkins in goal. After that scramble, Jakovich made it 2-love, and that's how it would stay, as Xavier is on to the championship game. Reaction to come with the Musketeers after this.
It's time to fuel your ambitions by taking charge of your student debt. At SoFi, we've helped over 250,000 people refinance their student loans, saving thousands of dollars. Now you can pay off your student loans faster and reach your goals sooner. See how much you can save in just 2 minutes at SoFi.com/save.
What is a Villanovan in 30 seconds? Well, Villanovans aim high. Top 50 National University high. We think fast and stay connected. V's up. Villanovans think deeply, push boundaries, and go, go, go! Still with me? We climb corporate ladders and these ladders. This campus is our home, but you can find us almost anywhere. Villanovans have big hearts and solve even bigger problems, and we celebrate together. Ignite change, go Nova.
Xavier is heading to their first Big East Championship game appearance in program history, an 11th shutout for the Musketeers, and the biggest reason for that, the sophomore goalkeeper, Olivia Jenkins. John Schreiner's with her now. And we'll wait to see when we get John Schreiner back here with Olivia Jenkins, since they're having some issues right now. But the Musketeers winning this one 2-0. And they did it with a stout defense again, the 11th shutout for this program. That leads the Big East. Carrie Lewis and Haley Jakovich coming up huge for Xavier. And it tells you everything you need to know about the regular season champions. Maybe it was a surprise to people that they were at the top of the table in the conference. It's no longer a surprise anymore because Xavier, they were able to get it done, winning 2-0. Who will meet them in the Big East Championship game? Well, we're going to find out coming up in about 30 minutes or so. Georgetown, the 2 seed, and 6-seeded Providence coming up from Omaha. And they will meet the Xavier Musketeers. A 15th win, a program record for Xavier as Carrie Lewis delivered in the 15th and Haley Jakovich with her second goal of the year. Jenkins coming up with the 5 saves, and the Musketeers put together a complete showcase. The regular season champions showing why they were at the top of the table, and they are on to the Big East Finals for the first time in program history. For John Schreiner, I'm John Fanta. We'll be back on the Big East Digital Network in about a half hour for Georgetown and Providence as the Big East Women's Soccer Semifinals roll on. Xavier heading to the championship game.
It's time to fuel your ambitions by taking charge of your student debt. At SoFi, we've helped over 250,000 people refinance their student loans, saving thousands of dollars. Now you can pay off your student loans faster and reach your goals sooner. See how much you can save in just 2 minutes at SoFi.com/save.